Yo, YouTube family, what is going on? So today I just wanted to make a real quick video for you guys answering a question that has popped up a couple times recently, and that is what is on my MIXBUS? What chain do I like to go through, or kind of, what's my go-to chain? So what I'm going to do is just kind of start from scratch, and I'm going to pull up my template, and then I'm just going to talk you through everything that's on my MIXBUS and why, just so you guys can kind of see what I'm working with right now. I'm sure this has changed from the last time that you guys have seen like a full session from me, and it changes from time to time, but yeah, I just wanted to go through that real quick. So let me just pull up one of my templates. Okay, so we're all loaded up, and this is my current template that I work out of, and it's as you can see, there's not a lot of plugins on here. It's just kind of my workflow. So I've got all of my effects over to the right in this light blue. These are the plugins that I like to use for whatever, various effects that I have over here. And then this is just kind of my workflow. So, all of the individual auxes, which are all of these, end up going into all of these different stems. All of these stems get routed into my dangerous 2-bus to get summed, and they come out of the 2-bus into my submix track. So the submix track, or the MIXBUS, is the track that I really want to talk about today in this video. And you can see there are a few plugins loaded up, with most of them being inactive. I really only start my projects and my mixing with one plugin active. So I'll start with that plugin first. And that's the SSL G-Bus compressor. So it's my favorite MIXBUS compressor. It just kind of adds, a little bit of glue, but it adds a punchiness that I haven't really found with any other plug-in compressor. Eventually, I want to look into getting a hardware version, but this is what I'm rocking with right now. It's the UAD version. I have both the UAD and the waves, and I just like the UAD version better. So the settings that I usually go with is the slowest attack, fastest release. It kind of gives me the most transparent sound. So to be able to get, let the initial transients of, your drums, your kick, your snare pop through the mix. So I like the slow attack, fast release, and then I just dial in the threshold until I'm getting, the needle barely moving, maybe just 1 to 2 dB gain reduction, not much. But yeah, that's how I set that. Sometimes I'll mess around with the sidechain filter, which is kind of like just letting some of the low frequencies pass without getting knocked back by the compressor. So if I feel like the compressor is, sucking away too much of the low end, I'll just kind of dial that back to wherever it feels right. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm leaving it set just like this, and just kind of mixing into it. Everything else that's on this chain is just kind of to taste. So I don't use everything else 100% of the time. It's just I'll activate it once I've got the mix where I like it, and if I feel like the plugin adds a character that feels good to the record, then I'll add it. If not, then I'll go ahead and bypass it. So the first plugin I have going on here is the Ampex ATR 102 from UAD. Just a tape simulation, kind of gives you a little bit of tape simulation or tape compression, just kind of rounds out the track a little bit sometimes, and adds just a vibe. I can't really explain it, but what I do with this plugin is I just go to the Steven Smith mastering, and I'll literally just click one by one on these different presets until I find one that, adds to the vibe that I wanted to the record. If I don't find one that adds to it, then I just don't use it. I didn't grow up with tape. I'm not super familiar with what all of this stuff means. So I feel like the times that I've tried to get in here and mess with stuff, I just end up making everything sound worse. So I just don't mess with it. So if one of these presets work, great. If not, then I deactivate the plugin. The next plugin that makes most of the records is the Chandler Curve Bender from UAD. And I really love the filters on this plugin. A lot of times I'll high pass, at 20 hertz or sometimes 30 hertz, just depending on the record. Sometimes I don't high pass at all. And then as far as low pass, sometimes I'll leave it out. Sometimes I'll go to 30K with the low pass. But I really love the filters and the way it kind of just cleans things up. And then the high shelf I find really adds just a nice air and a nice lift to the record without S's and T's getting too out of control, or without really messing up hi-hats or anything like that. Again, just depending on the record, I might start from like 8K or 10K, 12K on the high shelf, maybe boosting a dB or dB and a half or so. Just again, depending on the record. I do try to get the record as close to finish as possible in the mix, but sometimes I find this helps just a little bit. I do like to boost sometimes at 50 hertz on the low shelf. Find that it helps, quite a bit. And then sometimes if I want more presence in the vocals, I find that 6.5K, maybe just a half dB, really opens up the record quite a bit. So I really love the Chandler Curve Bender. But yeah, this has changed. The EQ of choice has changed from time to time. Sometimes I'll use the Pultec. I've demoed the Bax EQ from UAD. I haven't purchased it though, but I did like that as well. But yeah, my favorite EQ on my MIXBUS is the Chandler Curve Bender from UAD. So the next plugin that I will demo and just test out on the record, see if I like it or not, is the Manley Varimu Limiter Compressor from UAD. Again, with this plugin, it's really just a taste. I don't do any compression with it. I just by adding this plugin into the signal path, it has its own color, and sometimes it works out really, really well. It's got a dope vibe to it. Kind of just smooths things out a little bit, but feels like it's pushing things a little bit more forward. Like just the whole record. So kind of gluing things together and just making it a little bit more present just by inserting it into the path. So I've got the attack as slow as possible. I've got the release where it says recovery as fast as possible. And usually the needle's not moving whatsoever. Whenever I insert this, again, it's just for color. And if I like it, great. If not, then I'll leave it bypassed. And then the last plugin, which I rarely ever use, is just the Pro Q2. If I'm hearing any sort of buildup, I might use this just a little bit, but I've really gotten to the point now where if I'm hearing a buildup, I'll try to go back to the individual tracks and clean it up there. So this is just on my template just because I used to use it quite a bit on my MIXBUS, but nowadays I rarely ever use it. So the only plugin that for sure gets used most of the time is the SSL G-Bus compressor, and then everything else is just kind of to taste. But definitely if you have UAD, demo these. But yeah, my order that I like to go in is a tape to a compressor to EQ. Once I've got my submix or MIXBUS set to where it feels good, then I have it routing to the print track. I'll just record enable the print track and print the entire track to a stereo mix, and that'll be my final version that gets sent off to mastering. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. If you guys dig this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely subscribe if you're digging the content. I'm going to catch you guys in another one soon. Peace.